Hey friends, welcome back to another rebounder comparison video. I know from experience when trying to pick out a rebounder online, it can be quite a challenge to really understand the differences between different models. I have said many times, if there was a place where we could go and just test out every single rebounder on the market, I would be so incredibly happy, because we can read all of the stuff on the listings and on the websites and it can sound really great, but then another rebounder comes along and it sounds just as great, and it's really hard to know which one is going to be right for you and really what the differences are between them. So today I'm going to be comparing two 48-inch rebounders. I'm going to do the Kensone 48-inch U-bar rebounder and then the BCAN 48-inch U-bar rebounder. And I picked these two to compare because they are very similar in a lot of ways, but then there are some very big differences in other ways that I want to highlight, because this is one of the ones where if you read both of the descriptions, you may not get a full picture of what the differences are. As far as price point, these are also very comparable in price. There's always different sales and coupons on Amazon, so prices do vary, but they are very comparable in price. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on the things that they are really very similar in. One of those things is the frame. The frames on these two rebounders are nearly identical. The BCAN does have a smooth glossy finish. The Kensone has kind of a powder coat finish, but as far as functionality, they both fold, the legs both screw off, and the little feet on the bottom, the rubber feet, look pretty much the same. Another area in which they are very similar is the U-bars. They look nearly identical as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they were made even in the same factory. The mats also are very similar. The main black part of the mat seem to be made out of the same material. I don't see any huge difference there. The stitching, very, very similar. I will mention that this BCAN has the little bit of an upgrade to the pedal skirt, which compares really well to the Kensone because it comes with a skirt. The BCAN does have a little bit of a cheaper option that you can get without the skirt, but the Kensone, they all come with the skirt. You might be able to tell just from looking at it, but the surface area of the mat is a little bit bigger in diameter on the BCAN versus the Kensone. And the reason for that, you might think, oh, well then obviously go for the BCAN because it's bigger. But the reason for that is because of the bungees. And this is where I think there is the biggest difference between these two, and it'll probably help you decide which one that you want. Here is a side-by-side comparison of the two bungees. This is the Kensone bungee and this is the BCAN bungee. This is the major difference between the two rebounders. So I mentioned that the surface area, the mat area of the BCAN is bigger than the Kensone, and that is because the bungees are smaller and they don't take up as much space. The Kensone are longer and they take up more space. And so as you can imagine, that gives quite a different bounce. The BCAN I found was very, very firm, and I felt like I got to the bottom of the bounce where I could feel kind of that jarring sensation in my calves. I used the BCAN for a few workouts and I definitely got more of a calf workout than my typical workouts on my rebounders. Now that could be a feature for some people depending on how you want to use your rebounder and what your preference is. If you want that very firm bounce and you want that strong muscle activation, then maybe the BCAN is just the right choice for you. If you want a little bit of a softer bounce, then maybe the Kensone is the right choice for you. I personally prefer the softer bounce. Now, I will say that as far as bounce, I would put the Kensone into kind of a medium bounce category. I would put the BCAN into firm. I would put the Kensone into medium. And then if you've seen my other videos on the BCAN Softland rebounder, I would put that into the soft category when you use the soft bungees. So I'm not saying that this is super, super soft. It is more of a medium tension, right kind of in the middle, but it is definitely softer than the BCAN. I feel like I said, I get to the bottom of the bounce on this one, if that makes sense. That's kind of the best way I can describe it, where the bungees don't have any more room to go when I get to the bottom of my bounce. On the Kensone, I feel like it's a little bit smoother, less jarring. I do get a nice rebound and a nice bounce. So really that is the major difference between these two. I know you guys can go onto all the listings and find out all of the specifications, but until you've tried both of them and kind of seen side by side the bungees, that's something that's not super obvious. So I really, really wanted to highlight it. I do love the Kensone. I would choose that one if I had to just choose one. Definitely would go with the Kensone because I do prefer that softer bounce. But as far as all of the other features, I think they're equally high quality. And if you do know that you prefer the extra firm bounce, go with the BCAN. I am affiliated with both Kensone and BCAN, so I have discount codes for both of them. Feel free to check those out in the description. Thanks so much for joining me on this rebounder comparison video. I hope it was helpful. Let me know what rebounder you have and that you love, or maybe what rebounder you're looking to get. And thanks so much for watching.